I'm Simon Hartzell, and this is NAI Global's Diving into Commercial Real Estate.
Welcome to another episode of NAI Global's Diving into Commercial Real Estate. Today's episode is Property Management. What are you missing? I'm your host, Simon Hartzell, and today's guest is Debbie Harvill. She is the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of NAI Blum Property Management. She's also NAI Global's Property Management Council Chair and has been for 2018 and 2019. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you, Simon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for asking.
Hi.
So, Debbie, let's dive right into it. Could you tell the audience a little bit of your background and how you got into your position in the leadership role with property management?
Sure. I'm originally from North Louisiana and moved to Baton Rouge in 1975 and literally fell into the property management. I worked down the hall. I worked for a geologist, put my husband through school at LSU, and there was a full-service real estate company down the hall, and I decided one right before the end of the year that I was going to get my real estate license. At that point, I'm aging how long ago that's been, because it's been 39 years ago. But to get your license, it was 30 hours, and they were fixing to increase it to get 50 hours. And I thought, I'm just go ahead and get my license real quick and sell a house on the weekend, which I never did. But luckily, I had my license and was able to file into the property management division of this company that was down the hall and start out leasing and managing single-family homes. And that's where it all began.
Yeah, it's interesting because everybody's story in this business there's no cookie cutter way of how you get into the business. You, as you mentioned, kind of had intentions to do one thing, and now you're managing how many square feet with the organization there?
Well, over the years, I have managed every type of property that you can imagine, from apartments to commercial, and just have literally moved up over through the ranks. Our company right now manages probably 9 million square feet of commercial space. We also have about 9,000 multifamily units and about 1,000 single-family homes. I usually say we do everything except homeowners association, and we used to do that, but found out that was, for the amount of money you received, it was a lot of labor and time consumed. But we're just about a full-service property management company.
Perfect. And then the organization also, just to give the audience a little bit of backstory, the organization also handles true brokerage, leasing, sales, so on and so forth.
Yes, this is strictly the property management division I'm talking about. We have a large residential sales department all over, and Ladder & Blum typically is in the Louisiana, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, anything on the I-10 corridor and south in the United States. And we have many, many offices. Not only I think we have 6 commercial brokerage offices, and property management has 5 different property management companies. Or I'm sorry, let's back up to that. We have 5 offices throughout the state, as well as the commercial and the residential sales divisions. They probably have 35 offices all throughout. So we cover most of Louisiana, Mississippi Gulf Coast. We have a strong presence in that arena.
That's awesome. And so how do you find the property management division leveraging the NAI Global platform?
You know, I find in our business, meaning the property management business, it helps us locally. You know, we're a tertiary market, and so it helps us the name recognition. There's a lot of local companies that do not have any kind of national presence or any affiliations, and I have had potential clients call me and say, "Oh yeah, we use NAI in Cleveland or, Chicago or whatever the case is. So that helps us get an edge up. And I find that has helped us tremendously with new business.
That is interesting, because in tertiary markets, and understanding it compared to other tertiary markets, you're exactly right. There's not much of a national presence. So really, to kind of get that leg up and that a competitive advantage through having a global brand kind of separates you from the competition. There's everybody else, and then the organization, the NAI organization that you all are part of. So
yeah,
that's good to hear.
It solidifies our knowledge and our strength and our global footprint that local companies would not be able to showcase.
Well, let me kind of tandem that with the follow-up question of property management counsel. How does that also help to make you better practitioners, serve your clients, so on and so forth?
I think education. I mean, I think we're a little different. I've been told from other councils within the NAI group, we have members. We probably have, and I think there's right now the count is about 50 different NAI company members that have property management arms that are members of the Property Management Council. And once they become members of our council, we invite them to base camp. And one thing that we do is with the base camp, we have blasts. Like this past week, I probably had 3 or 4 blasts go through about, I'm looking to use this type of software. Has anybody had experience? So everybody was sharing information on that. And then someone needed a marketing proposal for a medical facility, which is a little, it's not your day-to-day management proposals. Somebody shared a proposal that they had sent. That to me is huge value with somebody being a member of the council. In addition, we always participate in Global's conference and have sessions there. But also in the spring, we have our own separate conference, which is nothing but property managers or asset managers. And we are dealing with the day-to-day problems, what works, what doesn't work with the property management industry, which is not a whole lot of, programs or classes that you can go to that you can sit around with 50 different companies and brainstorm about, hey, how does this work and what do you like and what do you not like? And this spring, we had one last spring in Chicago. Well, this spring, we're having one in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's April the 6th through the 9th. And so we're real excited about, number one, going to Charleston, but also it's just a great way for people to meet people, network, and learn what other property management companies are doing throughout the United States.
Yeah, that is important, because I'm sure if you're having a struggle or an issue, somebody else may having that same struggle or have been through that. So instead of having to trip over it and find a solution that you don't know if it'll work or not, now you can rely on colleagues to share their experiences. So that is very important and tough to put a value on it as well.
Well, it is, and I find that everyone is very freely willing to share that, what they want, what they have what's worked for them, and to be able to share whatever knowledge. I mean, there's not any holding back or afraid to, competition, afraid of that. And there may be some people within the same, city that they may not want to share a lot of that, but we have separate side conversations on that. But another thing that we do in the council are host webinars. We signed a contract for this next year for 6 webinars, and we already did one on cyber attacks, which was well attended. But one of the main things, which I had mentioned, which is one thing that I love, is when a member joins, we have an operations manual, and it probably is 500 or 600 pages. And we will email it and we update it probably 2 or 3 chapters each year. But we email it to all of our new members, and that is, in Word, and they can customize it however they want. They can plagiarize. They can do whatever they want to do with it. And it's been very helpful with proposals. I had a personal little experience with this. I had a big REIT that wanted their own onboarding to hire us in was quite extensive, And they kept saying, what about this procedure? What do you have about this process? And so I just emailed them the whole, our whole brochure and didn't have another question. They said, wow, y'all really have a lot. You have your processes down. Of course, I put a little disclosure. We may or may not use all these at this time or something to that effect. But I think that's very beneficial. And it may be nothing more than just a reference. You can say, oh, I wonder if there's a policy on tenant improvements or if there's one on, maintenance or whatever the case may be. It's pretty well covered in this manual. And that is, given to our members when they join the council.
Yeah, and that's great because that's the ability for them to not have to again recreate that wheel and have it from soup to nuts on this is the process that they can use one page of it or all 500 pages of the manual. That's kind of the beauty. So, and you brought up a good point. There's 50 individual NAI offices out of the almost 200 offices, the 200 members, the 400 offices around the world. And I'm sure there's firms that are thinking, all right, I know the concept of property management, but how do I break into it? Can you share any thoughts to somebody that's maybe looking to develop that end of their business?
I think the very first thing is to join the council. I think you would be surprised at the vast amount of knowledge and questions that we answer weekly to do this. And again, this manual may not be everything they wanted. They may have some other, processes that they presently are using, but I think it's a good guideline on what to do. And, as far as someone starting in the business, my recommendation is to check in with all the vendors, which we have a lot of vendors coming to our conference, but to automate, get with the technology, make sure, that you're looking at all aspects of your AP and your AR and vendors and maintenance processes. And that's what I think everybody's making a big push for. I looked at a company not too terribly long ago, and they were still logging manually rents into on a yellow ledger. And we said, oh, Lord, just a different time. You've got to be able to automate.
Well, and that's where, if you're not automated, if you're not using technology, you're losing business, doing a disservice to your client. You're being left behind practically. So you make a good point, and there's firms I talk to in the brokerage world that don't even have a CRM, and that customer relationship management software is. I don't know if they realize that they're one probably leaving money on the table, two not keeping track of some opportunities. So you're exactly right. That systems and technology are probably key. Build the foundation of this new division of property management and let it grow from there in regards to developing business, because I'm sure if somebody's in the business for a good amount of time, they have the relationships with the owners. So including the service of property management could be a nice add-on. And a follow-up question I have to being in the property management space, you've done it for 39 years, you've lived through several real estate cycles. How does, in your opinion, property management differ from other areas of the business? And if you're preparing for another recession, which is bound to come, and there was a lot of news this week about inverted yield curve and other things, how do you see property management weathering through the next part of this cycle?
Ironically, we do real well when times are bad, because a lot of people they think in good times, oh yeah, we're able to do all this, but when bad times come, they need help with the leasing and being able to, cut expenses and look at everything. And I always say that even in good and bad times, property management is there. And there's so many properties that I have at least managed or touched within 5 times with different owners. They may have been foreclosed on, they may have sold, they may have, somebody new came in, and you just never know. But the recession really doesn't hurt us in the property management, at least in our territory. It does not hurt us. In fact, sometimes it even grows. where people really need you, or the banks again taking over, or the lending institutions.
Interesting. Yeah, so a lot of things to consider. Again, if you're in this space, great. How do you make it better? Join the Property Management Council. If you're not in this space and you want to learn if you're part of NAI, or if you're considering to be part of NAI, then join the Property Management Council, because you'll gain the knowledge and best practices that'll at least give you a roadmap to kind of develop it further. So that's great. So I appreciate you sharing that, Debbie. I think this is all good stuff. Let's move into some really important questions and get a better understanding. What's your favorite food?
Well, I'm in South Louisiana. It's got to be seafood. But I will tell you, every now and then I have to have a Sonic corn dog. That's my guilty pleasure, probably. But shrimp, crawfish, you name it, that's what we eat down here.
You're making me hungry. That sounds good.
Sounds good. Anytime, come on down.
All right, next one. The last TV show you binge watched.
Oh, I'm in the process of right now binge watching Suits.
Fun.
That one that was Meghan Markle. I've heard about that, and I really enjoyed that. But I guess the one about 3 years ago, I broke my arm and was in bed for a whole weekend, and I watched Scandal, 42 episodes back to back. So Scandals is no more, but I could tell you everything about Scandals that you wanted to know back then.
So that's the secret to being able to binge watch is break an arm,
I guess.
kind of force yourself to be bedridden or stuck at home.
Yeah, that's the only time you have time to watch TV. At least in this business, you don't have much time. We're 24/7, as you can imagine.
Oh, especially in property management, for sure.
Never a dull moment.
Well, Debbie, this is all great stuff. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I'd like to thank you, our guest speaker, for coming out today. And if anybody on this podcast listening wants to contact you, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
I would say they could give me a call at 225-297-7888, or certainly they can email me at DHAR, V as in Victor, ILL, at Ladder Blum PM, LATTERBLUM PM for propertymanagement.com. Would love to hear from everybody.
That's awesome. And if you'd like to find out more information about becoming a new office with NAI Global, please email us at help@naiglobal.com. Thank you for listening.